My name's Ryan. I'm with the communications team here at Wynne. Today with us, we have Craig and Farah, who some of you or most of you may know at this point, but if you don't, Farah Noshirwani, she's a product manager. She mainly handled the logistics solution for Wynne Systems and the RentalMan side here at Wynne Systems. So she's been been at Wynne with us for about 5 years. So very experienced, has been tons of on-sites, tons of experience in terms of the logistics space. So that's very important in terms of the field service aspect. So she's joining us today to go through our topics today. Next, we have Craig Richmond. He is a senior product manager for Wynne Systems here, and his focus is on the service solution side mainly. He's also recently been jumping into our new solution, IntelliSource for RentalMan. So he's handling that, and then also heading up or helping out on the inventory SIG that we have going toward the end of the year here. So we're all very excited about that. He's excited about it. Craig's been with us for about 30 years at Wynne. He is part of the rental results acquisition that happened a while back. So he's got tons of experience in the equipment and rental industry, construction equipment space. So great to have him on and his experience on today. We have 5 things that we want to cover today. First thing is real-time data capture. Craig will take us through that. Optimizing routing and scheduling. So there's some service and logistics aspects to this whole field service space. So we'll be talking about that. Communication and visibility is key. So sounds very obvious. It's field service, right? You have people that are out in the field at job sites, fixing equipment, doing things like that. So communication and visibility is obviously very key in that scenario in these operations. So we'll be covering that, adopting and training on technology. We have some content on that as well. And then leveraging customer feedback. It can be a very important piece to creating better field service operations in the future. So we will hit that topic as well. That being said, I will let Craig take us off into real-time data capture.
Thank you, Ryan. Hello, everyone. So real-time data capture, I'd say it's important across all processes in an organization, but I think it's even more relevant when we're dealing with field services. And that's because you have so many different variable types in play at the same time. So obviously, you've got variables around location, around time, around mechanics, around finance, around workshop or a job. And if you don't capture all those variables in real time, it makes it much less able to actually make informed decisions that affect your customers. So if you can't track your technicians' progress efficiently, you won't be able to highlight the bottlenecks, allocate your mechanics effectively, and adjust schedules promptly. So real-time data really does help optimize your resource allocation and increase customer satisfaction. The second downside to not capturing the real-time data is you're introducing the risk of errors. So people may be entering information on pieces of paper at the end of their particular piece in the process, then entering it onto the system at a later date. And with that comes the usual issues with typos, legibility, etc. And you're also introducing duplication. So if you're not updating data at the right point in the process, you're creating additional admin work, which is really a waste of your team's primary skill set. I think the most important point regarding capturing data in real time is if you're not doing that, then you're really introducing data mistrust. So it becomes very difficult to know if the last update to a workshop or a job is the most relevant. Has the mechanic arrived on site on your left side? So effectively, people start to mistrust the data, and then they usually work around the process. So they may make phone calls, they may send emails, etc., to find out the real position at a moment in time. So it's interesting because Farah and I visit a number of customers every year, and we see how customers take different steps to capture data in real time and to actually get that data flow in place. So just as an example, on a recent visit, mechanics were texting progress at regular intervals on jobs to the service manager. So there was always an up-to-date picture in progress. It was almost a degree of time slots that information was flowing both ways. And it was sort of the picture that a Formula One driver gets from a race engineer. And that way you both have a real world 360 view of exactly what's happening. That was then added to a whiteboard in the branch showing the latest information. And that way the two-way communication was available to everybody in the branch. Obviously, a couple of manual steps. There's a manual step to update the whiteboard and another manual step to update the system later. But the main thing is you had that real-time data flowing in flow at the right time. Another company we saw was utilizing GPS with mechanics. So the real-time location was always known, removing the need for email and phone calls to see close the mechanic was, how much work was left, etc. So the position was always very, very clear. Regarding the manual processes we've seen, they have been extremely efficient and effective, but there may come a tipping point in the future as the servicing department's workload expands. The process friction will also increase as well. So there may be a slice of the revenue that's lost now due to a manual interaction on the paper-based processes, etc. One other consideration is regarding the centralization of data. So if you're trying to capture data in real time, think about storing key information centrally that the team can access both remotely and in the shop at the correct point in the process. There may be technical challenges with that, so it's important to loop in your IT department to consider fundamentally security, the cost of hardware, the cost of software, networking infrastructure, etc. But effectively, having access to the right information at the right time is very critical to decision making. So, and also will lead to informed insights, which we'll cover off in a later slide. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, optimize task scheduling and routing. As far as scheduling is concerned, there's really 4 factors to look at, and they form their own matrix. So it's interesting, 3 of these can actually apply to shop servicing as well, without the obvious exception of job location. So if we start with urgency and prioritization, so the best practice there is really to set parameters, set them clearly and standardize them across the company. And when you set them and considering the categorization, think about the customer impact, think about financial drivers such as customer loyalty, rental returns, etc. It's also important to consider that there are 2 levels of prioritization. There's the customer's urgency assessment. Piece of equipment is broken down on site that they need to turn around so that they can finish a job on time. And there's also your urgency assessment. So in some cases, they may match a customer's urgent request. You need to turn that piece of equipment around so that it can become profitable again. Or it may be that you don't have the parts in stock. So what's urgent to a customer? There's little point in you scheduling to go tomorrow. So think about that when you're setting the prioritization. Another thing we saw out in the various branches we went to was the calendar-based availability calendar, which effectively shows all the mechanics down one side, the jobs on the right-hand side. And when you have those in play, make sure that you're considering your technicians' availability as far as holidays, lunch breaks, other factors are concerned. And you're also looking at each week's capacity, so working out the capacity for each week, the current workload, and therefore you're planning out the team's workload as an en masse, and you're not overloading any specific team member. In addition to the availability calendar, we also saw a skills matrix board in a number of different branches. And effectively at that point, you had a list of mechanics, a list of skill sets. And it being in the branch at the same place as the availability calendar had a number of different benefits. First of all, as people were allocating work out, they could nod across, have a look at the work that was required, the mechanics that were available, and also then look at the required skill set. It also meant that you always had an up-to-date view of all your mechanics in one place on one screen. That way, it becomes much easier to keep the skill sets relevant. As a suggestion, again, of best practice, think about your calendar and your skills matrix and storing them in a central location and not something that's just inside the team's head. So if, for example, your servicing manager is on vacation or out sick, other people can seamlessly continue the scheduling process. As far as location is concerned, as we mentioned before, think about implementing some GPS tracking, which is extremely important for field servicing, so you know the location and you can do real-time monitoring of your technicians. And also, and again, Farah's going to cover this up in a different slide, but think about standard operating procedures. So effectively, everybody's receiving job updates in a standardized fashion. So you know the up-to-date position, you know the job progress of the mechanic at any one time. Over to you, Farah.
Thanks, Greg. I think one of the biggest complaints we heard during our on-sites have been, counter and branch staff claiming they don't know if the mechanic has made it on site or where he is on his route for the particular day. Mechanics, on the other hand, have also shared that they spend most of their morning taking their clipboard of appointments printed out from the staff and trying to plan the route out for the day, trying to see what each job entails. Using technology to do so not only saves the administrative time, but it allows your mechanics to focus on their skill sets, their tasks, that is turning around their jobs for the day. As an organization, it'll also aid you to utilize, you know, different tools in place, potentially prioritization of tasks, and also optimizing routes to ensure that the right jobs are being done at the right time. With a service logistics integration, you can not only avail the optimal routes and resource allocations, but it can also benefit in aiding with the planning process itself as well. And, trying to find those best routes for your mechanics or best mechanics to assign for particular tasks based on their jobs for the day. Run next slide, please. The other big part that comes in is communication and visibility. I know everyone always says communication is, is the key. And, providing teams the tools to allow them to communicate in real time, whether it's updating the status or notifying the team where they're heading, using instant messaging or other methods can significantly improve the response time, team coordination, and it also allows better visibility if customers call in, etc. So it keeps the customers, it provides better visibility for that as well. The biggest thing that we talk about are SOPs. Not everyone likes to hear SOPs. When we say the word SOPs, everyone's like, oh no. But SOPs, while they might be, cumbersome, it takes long to define it, and managers don't like to talk about it. It often and falls lower on your business priority, with the focus being day-to-day operations. However, maintaining clear SOPs not only helps to keep everything consistent and reliable, but regularly updating those SOPs to reflect latest technologies, industry standards, helps to keep your business in line with what the industry offers today. The easy access to SOPs for all team members, it can be a good aid for new hires getting up to speed with operations. It can also reduce the onboarding process, onboarding time if SOPs are there for new individuals. And, the technicians can come off and get the ground running, knowing exactly what the business is expecting out of them. The other piece of it comes into hardware considerations, embracing technology, digitalization to enhance efficiency and streamline operations is actually critical from a business standpoint. One consideration to put is, replacing clipboards with iPads and other mobile devices. This not only reduces the amount of paper that has been provided to mechanics, it also eliminates the potential loss of papers while they're on the job, or having oil-filled documents coming back to your locations because the mechanics were trying to fill documents while on the job. So providing mechanics with, mobile devices can help them provide real-time job updates, customer history, inventory. And this also ensures that, the team can update the rest of the business properly. From the Wynne Hub perspective, we try to support a range of devices, both Android and iOS, starting from tablets all the way to mobile devices, ensuring that your team has the best tool convenient for them to do the job. And then, it also helps streamline efficiencies and, allows you to focus on excellent customer service, because the more your team can focus on the tasks, the turnaround time could be faster, and also updating your customers helps increase the customer satisfaction at the end of the day. Ryan, next slide, please.
So adopting and training on technology. So the first point is, I guess, is really key. How to adapt new technology with your teams and how to introduce new technology into your teams. So the introduction of new technology, it will most likely mean changes in processes, workflows, and usually mindsets as well. So it's important that those are communicated clearly with the servicing team from the outset. I'd also suggest that this is used as an opportunity to map your current workflow and your current process and try and identify the gaps and inefficiencies that the new technology could address. I mean, processes as a whole usually evolve over a period of time. So it's a really, really useful opportunity to see how your current service team are working and what workarounds they're currently got in stock that the technology can then resolve. Obviously, keep everyone involved and updated and informed about any upcoming changes. Explain the benefits and how it will impact their work. Usually there is a slight overhead when new technologies are brought on. People may actually have to do a little more work. They've got to become accustomed to the new technology. So there may be a small amount of resistance at first if you've worked in a certain way for a long period of time. That transparency and that clear communication really does help reduce resistance. Also, make sure training and support's there from the outset. This is especially important for field servicing when people are taking tablets or phones out for the first time and they're effectively isolated out there on site. So having those technology experts internally who can produce documentation, who can be available for calls using workshops, tutorials, etc., really does help people adapt to the new technology. Also, and again, like any product business, any project that goes live, testing in a pilot environment, a beta environment, utilize those and ensure your key stakeholders have a voice at the table, can provide feedback, and then you can be involved in any decision making as well if you need to pivot, change your decisions, etc. And finally, as the project moves forward, monitor, analyze the results, and use feedback loops. And again, usually the recommendation is that when you're going forward with the go live, etc., you're moving this new technology first. Start with a small selection, start with a small number of people, and then gradually roll it out bit by bit so you ensure all the issues are being resolved. And then you can move forward quicker. Over to you, Farah.
Thanks, Greg. The other aspect of it is training your team, making sure your team is up to date with the latest tools and softwares. Offer regular trainings, provide sessions and tutorials, maybe make videos one-off that, aid with the training sessions. Also try to encourage continuous learning across the organization, promote ongoing, you know, education to keep up with the industry trends, and then continuously learning, new initiatives to help stay competitive and innovative. The other thing that adopting new technology can do is save up administrative tasks, automate the recurring tasks to free up your team's time to focus on the more important work. Use integrated softwares to automate directly, scheduling for a mechanic, reducing manual data entry by using a tool. Um, you can also use technology to the organization's advantage, automated performance reviews, and matrix available to you. You can use these matrix to identify where the gap is, how your business can turn around faster. And doing so, you can also end up improving your customer experience and service. So try to, keep up with those administrative tasks being reduced. The other thing to do is encourage innovation, foster culture of creativity and openness to change. Mechanics who've been doing this for a long time might not be comfortable with the new methods, may be reluctant to change. However, consider the onboarding for new mechanics. When they come on, how is their experience going to be? Are they going to be able to get on and do their task as fast as someone who's been doing a difficult and cumbersome process for a long time? So don't be afraid to, upset the status quo just to get yourself adapted to technology. However, you can always, solicit feedback. Regularly ask, the team for feedback on the technology adopted, what processes work for them, what could be further improved, and be open to change. Be open to new approaches being proposed by the team or feedback on methods that may not be working. Take the end user feedback because operationally, you may think that it works for a business. However, your mechanics might be trying to find workarounds because it doesn't fit their operational needs as well. So try to find that right balance in both. Thanks, Ray.
Okay. Leveraging customer feedback. So obviously, again, a bit like the real-time data capture, there's a number of different places in an organization where this is useful, where you have customer interactions. I think the beauty of field servicing is that because it's in theory a relatively short interaction, you can capture that data quite freshly. And because as far as the customer interaction piece is concerned, you're interacting customers at a number of different points in the process. It's very, very valuable for capturing real-time data. So if you're thinking about feedback and field servicing, think about embedding those feedback mechanisms into the customer's process. So integrate customer feedback throughout the customer engagement experience. That may be taking the initial call to say we have it, the customer's got an issue. And did that go? There may be a form filled once the mechanics actually completed the work out on site, when the work's been completed and the customer's been billed, etc. What's the response there? That ensures you're capturing insights when the experience is fresh in the customer's mind and throughout the customer engagement. Also, think about multiple channels. So in addition to the customer service interactions, think about services, think about social media. So it may be that the mechanic's dealing with a specific person out on site, but also send out a quarterly survey to get an idea of your customer's view of your servicing. So you get different personas in the company, able to provide different feedback at different levels of the company, which really helps gather a comprehensive view of customer sentiments. Obviously, acting on the feedback is essential. So when you have that data, look at centralizing it, look at amalgamating it, and then trying to identify trends and actionable insights. And at that point, you're much more able to implement changes based on the feedback to improve the service and the customer experience. Closing the loop, again, when the customers come back with useful feedback, make sure you follow up. You're obviously valuing their input, and it shows you're committed to improving their experience. And finally, rewarding feedback. So every so often encourage more feedback by offering incentives and rewards. The amount of data you get back, you need to keep alive. So you need to have more data coming back as far as feedback's concerned. So looking at ways to increase participation is key, and that will then provide you much more data to work with in the future. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Well, so we went through those 5 best practices. I hope you guys found those useful. If you haven't revisited this in a while, maybe it's time to look at that again, right? If you're not doing some of these things today, then, hopefully we've given you some ideas on implementing some of these things. For example, customer feedback is always very important, right? But it could be forgotten at times, especially just for the field service part. So yeah, definitely take those. I hope it was helpful. But for right now, we're going to move on. We actually have a 3 to 5 minute little demo to show you. There's some new capabilities between service solution and logistics solution that we have today due to, some integration work that we've done. So really built up the field service capabilities that are now available within the RentalMan suite. So I'm going to let Craig and Farah take the screen here, and they're going to take us through just a very short little demo of what we got. I think some of you guys have been very eager to see what we have to offer. We don't typically do demos on these webinars, right? I don't personally like leaning that way, but we're very excited about it. I think many of you are excited about it. So we're going to let them take it away and show us some of the capabilities here.
Thanks, Ryan. Again, for the purposes of this demo, we're just going to show the new functionality that we have between service and logistics. We assume that you either using our service and logistics tool, and if not, and if you'd like to get into more detail of what individual tools offers, I recommend reaching out to your sales manager to get them, to give you a more detailed demo on what the product has to offer. What we're going to talk about today is how, when you create a shop or field service, how that can translate over to logistics and how you can leverage the logistics and Wynne mobile capabilities to then allow your technicians to do the task on their mobile. The mobile device itself, we allow offline capabilities. If your technicians are outside network zones, they can still make changes onto the mobile application and it syncs back once they get into network zones. So again, just a high level on that. Craig, would you like to add something to it as well?
Yeah, so effectively, what Farah's showing you here is workshop orders dealing with speaking directly to logistics. There is another element to this, which we can show it individually, which is the customer portal. So the customer portal has the ability to create service requests. And at that point, the service request flows directly through to service solution. So again, avoiding the need for phone calls, for emails, customers can immediately reach out, create a service request, which the servicing manager can then respond to. If you move forward with that, servicing will then create a task for field servicing, which Farah is about to show you. So effectively, we have in place a digitized cradle to grave process covering the customer request all the way down to closing the workshop order. Back to you, Farah.
Thanks, Craig. And then again, the way this field service and shop service works is there are system settings in place in the Wynne Hub that allow you to determine whether you'd like to set it up for shop, field, or both. And this could be set up at an organizational level, however you like. As you can see, I have a regular order. I have the equipment number information with it. I have the maintenance description. I estimate 3 hours for this, and I say this is a field service. My address and all the information is already in place. The second I hit save on this, what it does is it automatically saves this work order. Not only does it save the work order, as you see here, it automatically creates WLS order detail as well. And if you simply click on it, it takes you to that order in WLS/TMS. As you can see, the address, which we had entered earlier, we had also entered the start time, requested start time. You see the order type shows as a field service. We also have the option of shop service, so you can filter out your field and shop service requirements. All the machine information that we had on the work order, including the machine number, etc., also comes up on the order. The other thing that we see, which is pretty cool, is that as a technician or as a dispatcher, you can see the work order number in WSS that created this to always go back and search for more information or more details on that piece as well. Once you have this order created, it would use standard TMS where you could use the scheduler and leverage the scheduler to plan out the routes for the driver. We have the same mapping capabilities, which allows you to see what the mechanic's route for the day looks like. You can also leverage the unassigned job site capabilities to see what other tasks you can assign to the mechanic along the way. So as we get into it, we can see that there's another job site available. Actually, there isn't. Sorry. As you can see, while the mechanic is on his way to a particular job site, there's another task that he can do. So you can then go in and see what that particular task entails and schedule it directly, or even review the routes and see if they can be optimized. The other cool thing that it comes with it is, as you see, we had entered 3 hours as the estimated time for that piece of service. So what it does is it automatically takes that into consideration for your stop duration when you're dispatching it out. And it defaults that duration. And then if you want to increase or decrease it, you have the capability to do so. It also, as you see, this service is for 4 hours, so it has dragged it out for 4 hours as well. So that's, again, a very high level from the dispatchers and office staff perspective. The other part of it is our Wynne mobile app. This is available again on the App Store and iOS and Android Google Play Store as well. It's similar to the driver app where your mechanic will be able to see all their tasks for the particular day, except in this case, it shows that it's a field service. It shows the order number. It also shows the WSS work order number for their reference so that they can then immediately and easily see that information. The other part of it is, they can simply change statuses. They can see all the information. They can also change their work order segment directly from the mobile app, and it will automatically update. They can also, change the part statuses. The other part that we've added to it is the, warranty history, steps, and labor, and adding parts into it as well. So for example, I can see the entire history of that piece of equipment showing up on it, whether it's been regular maintenance or it's been, those different aspects or tasks of it as well. Pictures and signatures are same standard functionality as driver app. They can also complete forms. You can set up forms specifically for field and shop service and have the, mechanic complete those. If there's warranty available for that piece of equipment, you can also display the warranty information. The steps, again, pull in from Service Solution, and you can add the dates and times. And once the steps are performed, it will automatically update it back. You can also add your labor. So if there are additional labor pieces you need to add, you can simply add those. And you can also add the parts. So you can simply search for the parts and all the information can come in from RentalMan if there's parts, units, etc. assigned to it. The other thing that we have that, is very popular on the Service Solution side is the attendance clock. So you can take the attendance clock in place and start it for both the work as well as specific work order clocks, and those automatically add labor onto it. So we do have, those functionalities. And then similarly, clicking on addresses and opening up Google or seeing the total route for the day, all of that is available for the mechanic like it would be available for the driver as well. So that's in a nutshell what the mobile app also has to offer. Craig, would you like to add something else to it?
Yeah, just seeing Heath's question. So Heath, when will this be available? This will be coming out in the August release, the mobile application. So that'll be available. Just to piggyback on what Farah's been saying, the mobile application also will have offline syncing as well, just like it is for the logistics piece. If your mechanics are out in a place that doesn't have a great data reception, it'll store the data on there on the device and then sync with the system at the soonest opportunity. So likewise, that's the whole field servicing piece in play. Again, just as a teaser, the piece that Farah and I are working on next, and we may be speaking to some of you just for some insights, is the whole competencies piece. So we mentioned the skills availability, the skills matrix, etc. But having the system give the ability to store specific skill sets against specific people means it's much easier then to assign your mechanics to specific functions. And then in the future, the system can then suggest the right mechanics for the right task as well. So we can start working towards some form of auto allocation. So that's the long-term vision, just to share that with you. But that's field servicing in a nutshell.
right? And Craig and Farah, we got one other question that came in. It says, when searching for parts, does it search the truck inventory or the branch inventory?
Currently, I believe it searches the branch inventory, but the plan is that it will search the truck inventory very soon. So yeah, that'll be coming.
Yeah.
Just like with the service solution. Yeah.
Hope that answered the question. Yeah, I hope we answered, both those questions. So we're getting into the Q&A part of this. So I'll share my screen again. Quick. So again, if you have more questions, let us know. If this is something that's interesting to you, then definitely let us know as well. We're happy, of course, to do some kind of demonstration for you if you like. Talk about some specific use cases. Not every rental company is the same, right? So everybody might do field service a little different. Rental operations are different throughout. So, if you're interested in looking at that at a deeper level specific to your company, we'd be happy to show you that, go through some cases with you and things like that. But we're in the Q&A now. We got one more question. So when creating the event in TMS, it shows the equipment that needs service and its detail. Where do the pictures come from?
So if we're referring to the pictures on the mobile app, that would be something that the mechanic would upload, or if somebody uploads it. If we're talking of the order detail level, the picture comes from the equipment list. So if there's a picture on the equipment list, it will show up on the order detail as well as the mechanic app.
All right. Thank you, Farah. Hope that answered the question there. We got one more. So will the customer, are you guys able to see these as well?
Yes. So the customer will get a notification if the customer address is set up, and it will use the same notification functionality in TMS. So based on your settings, if customers are turned on for order created or driver on site or drivers completed, those notifications will go out to the customer like it does today.
All right. Thank you, Farah. Thank you all for joining. Again, if you have more questions, more comments, ideas, things like that, go ahead and shoot us an email or a call. We got plenty of touch points for you guys to be able to do that. So send us a note there. Thank you very much for your time. Again, we very much appreciate you spending time with us today. We hope this was helpful. We hope that you go back with your company. You have some things to act on, right? Or things to think about in terms of changing your operations if you think it was helpful for you. So hope you take those best practices. Hope you think about that demo a little bit, see what you think. But we will be in touch in the future. And thanks for joining, and see you next time.